to the top of the morning. I'm Jus Kumar.
And I'm Asano Dales.
And today we have a great show. We have Linsey. She's with the Women's Heritage Center, and she's also a school teacher with 30 years experience. And she's doing a lot with the women's involvement in the schools of Baltimore. So
she's here to talk to us about that today.
So stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Shoshana Carden, and I am a proud member of the Maryland Women's Heritage Center. This is, as you know, a new program, and it's a program designed to help us appreciate the women who came before us, the centuries before us, who paved the way for women to have all of the freedoms we have today.
Welcome back. I'm Jus Kumar.
And I'm Asano Dales.
And joining us is Linsey, right?
Yes.
Did I say that correct? Mm-hmm. From the Women's Heritage Center, and she's also from the
Maryland State Teachers Association.
Maryland State Teachers Association. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, how you doing today?
Just fine, thank you.
Fantastic.
What do you think of the view? We're at the very top
I've been down here before. I'm a lifelong Baltimore resident, and I've been down here many times and always try to find spots that are familiar to me.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. So you're going to be talking to us today about the Women's Heritage Center, right?
Yes, the Maryland Women's Heritage Center is, since I'm retired now, I taught for 30 years, and I have a lot of time now to devote to the subjects that I'm interested in. And I want to quote Lucille Clifton, who was a Maryland Poet Laureate and a member of the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame. She said, "I need to know their names, those women I would have walked with, all those women who could have known me. Where in the world are their names?" And to this end, the Maryland Women's Heritage Center is setting up a center where we can show the past and the present and shape the future, and recognize and respect women's and girls' contributions, especially from the state of Maryland.
Well, as a matter of fact, we have a clip of an interview from that event. Let's take a look at that clip.
My name is Lucille Clifton. Used to be Poet Laureate of Maryland at one time. I think I support women by my work. It is said that I write about women's issues, African American issues, and others. And I obviously wanted to be here because I just got back home yesterday, and I'm quite tired, but here I am with other women, my sister women, you might say. Well, Barack Obama imagine having a president that likes poetry, that when he was quite young tried to write poetry, and still enjoys poetry today. And I know that I have given to someone who is their friend some broadsides that he asked for, and I have a new one that I think I'm going to send over to the White House as well. But I met several presidents, and I like Michelle Obama very much. I have no interest in her arms, as the country seems to be just enamored. My daughter is a fitness person, and so I've seen good arms before. But I like her values, what seem to be her values, and I admire her strength. Well, if we keep becoming sisters, we will do great things. It is possible. And not just being here together, but in the world together.
Oh, that was very impressive.
Yeah.
Well, the event was held at Morton's in downtown Baltimore, and Cokie Roberts, whom I think everyone knows from either television or her books, came and was our main presenter, and she gave a wonderful speech, and everyone just loved her, and she gave out signed books. And also we honored some women and daughters that were local, some politicians and some artists, and it was just a wonderful event. It was a sellout, so that we did make some money for the Maryland Women's Heritage Center, and it was just a very uplifting and exciting event to attend as a member. Along with Lucille Clifton, who was honored that day, also Stephanie Rawlings Blake, who is president of the Baltimore City Council, was there with her mother, and it was just a wonderful event.
Fantastic. Sounds like quite an event. Yeah, some great people over there.
And good food, too.
Yeah? Awesome.
Yeah. And that was the main fundraiser, recent fundraiser, because we're raising funds to continue the work of the Maryland Women's Heritage Center. We do have a small space that we're occupying very soon on Lexington Street. But our goal is to have a large place where we can have school groups come, and the educational component of the center will be very important. The main reason to set up the center is to honor the Maryland inductees of the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame. Right now, those women have plaques that are housed in a kind of a out-of-the-way place in the Senate building in Annapolis, and we would like to have a place of honor for those women to have the plaques and their biographies. But the center isn't just for famous women, it's also an area where we want to celebrate the unsung heroines. We want to take her history and add it to his history to make it our history. And the Maryland Women's Heritage Center will be the first institution of its kind on a state level. So we're hoping to start a trend.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
As a female myself, what's the type of responses you're getting from young women?
Well, it's an amazing response because some young women already have a feel for the importance of their history, but some women don't really know what their history is because it wasn't always taught in school. And I know when I went to school, you never learned anything about the women who happened to have any impact on any events in history. And so a lot of the young women, once they learn about the history of women and the impact and the input that women had that changed the lives of women before them, they get really excited. And they also understand what their own potential is. And it's very affirming and adds to their own confidence in trying other things and changes their aspirations for what they might want to do. Well, we have an executive director. Her name is Jill Moss Greenberg, who for decades has been involved in civil rights and women's rights. And she has thrown all of her expertise and energy into helping get the Maryland Women's Heritage Center up and going, and also doing fundraising, which is an important part at this time. And I'd like to give her phone number in case anyone is interested
please give it to
about finding more out about the Maryland Women's Heritage Center. Jill Moss Greenberg's phone number is 410-767-0675. Thank you.
Awesome. So what are your hopes and goals for the Women's Heritage Center and for your part in this whole thing?
Well, our main hope and goal is to acquire the space to have a center large enough to have an educational component as well as a place to house the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame.
That would be great.
We'd like to have a place for learning and action and inspiration for young people.
Sure, that would be fantastic.
It sounds like there's already a lot of support.
Yes, there is a lot of support, but we're still trying to get the word out.
Very good. Very good.
Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
All right, we'll be right back. We'll see you in a minute.
Well, we're very thrilled to have this luncheon today with Cokie Roberts, who's a member of our honorary board, and this is the first time we've actually called upon her to do an activity with the Women's Heritage Center. But we're thrilled she's on our board, and most of us love her political acumen, her wit, and her writing about women's history. And today we're especially acknowledging the new release of her updated version of We Are Our Mother's Daughters. So could you tell us what's different about this book from the previous version?
Well, 10 years have passed. So a lot has changed in women's lives in this country, mostly for the better. And so they're new.
Welcome back. I'm Jus Kumar.
And I'm Asano Dales.
And we have Linsey. We've been talking about the Women's Heritage Center. And now we're going to be talking about your part in education, right?
That's right.
All right. So I'm interested to hear about this. Tell me what you're doing there.
I am a retired teacher. I taught kindergarten for 30 years in
30
Baltimore
years.
County.
Wow.
And during my tenure as a teacher, I was active in the teachers union. And the Maryland State Teachers Association is the Maryland affiliate of NEA, which is the National Education Association. A lot of people know that name. And they are advocates for the teachers of the state of Maryland. And since I retired, I have a lot more time on my hands because I'm not working 12 to 14 hours every day teaching. And I am able to spend more time on committee work. And the committee that's closest to my heart is called the Women's Concerns Committee of the Maryland State Teachers Association. And we are charged with providing information to the association about educational issues as they relate to girls and women, gender equity issues and sexual harassment issues. We're also charged with advising the association about health issues, especially as they relate to women, cancer screening and cancer detection. Because, as you all know, most public teachers in the elementary grades especially are women. So it's a huge amount of women in the organization. Teachers are very busy, and it's helpful to have them coming through and getting a lot of information in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Because their health is very important. It's to do their best job. So that's a very important issue that we work on, and it will be held this year in Ocean City in October. So if there are any vendors out there who give health information, they can certainly contact me, and I can get them put on our list.
All right. So, do you want to give Baltimore your contact information
yes,
again?
My number is 410-426-4470.
That's fantastic.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was our Women's History display. As you've heard me mention, March is Women's History Month, and the Maryland State Teachers Association headquarters, which is located on Main Street in Annapolis, is the place where we set up a Women's History display in the lobby, which is right on Main Street behind a huge glass, so everybody can see it walking by, or they can come in and see it.
That's great.
This year's theme was Women in Science and Math. And so we collaborated with the Maryland State Department of Education and with the Maryland Women's Heritage Center to do that display this year.
That's awesome. You know what? I think we have a clip of this display. Let's take a look. Oh, that was pretty neat.
That was interesting.
That was awesome.
Well, I'm glad you got to see it.
So how did that whole thing go? It seemed like it went very well.
Well, all of the employees of the MSTA there in Annapolis had a chance to see it every day as they came to work.
So this has been great. This has been fantastic. A lot of good information.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about these events. The other thing that the Women's Commission, the Women's Committee for the MSTA does is we give a Women's Right Award. And this award is given every year during Women's History Month in March. And any woman in the state of Maryland who works in education or a group are eligible to get this Women's Rights Award for their efforts in spreading equality. So we're looking for nominations for that for next year, so people could contact me about that also.
That's awesome. Do you want to give Baltimore your contact information again?
Yes, that's Linda Linsey at 410-426-4470.
Awesome. That's great. So any last thoughts before we wrap up this show?
We want to think about adding herstory to history so that we'll have our story.
Herstory to history.
So that we'll have our story.
Sounds good.
That's it.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Well, this has been another edition of Top of the Morning. I'm Jus Kumar.
And I'm Asano Dales.
And we had a great show again here at the top of the world. Isn't this awesome?
Downtown Baltimore.
Downtown Baltimore. This is the place to be. You know, you get some great scenery around. It's definitely a great location. All right? So we'll see you next time.
Bye.